Hi again, everybody. This is Monique Lynelle, Coach ML here for Monique Lynelle's Living with a Purpose blog. And I'm here with the subject matter as enduring to the end. So the last time I took my time explaining to you quite a few things, but enduring to the end is just that. I can give you an analogy of a race and a marathon compared to a race that's 100 meters. Okay? So one race is really fast. It ends quick. It begins quick. It ends quick. But a marathon is something that goes, most marathons are 26 miles. So if you did a half a marathon, that's 13 miles. And most people don't run 13 miles on a regular day. So to get through a whole marathon, when people say I'm going to do a marathon, to train for a marathon, you need to be running as much as the marathon is per week. I've never trained for a marathon, but I looked into it and I was going to do one before. And I ended up not doing it, but I was like, this is going to take a lot to dig deep and to practice, because usually when you're playing a game or any type of sport, when you practice, you do just as much as you would in a game or more. You practice more or longer than the actual game is going to take. So for a marathon, if it's 26 miles, you have to think about, well, how much more do I need to run to prepare this? You have to put in miles. So when you talk about endurance, it builds the endurance over time before you actually do the marathon, so that you won't want to quit in the middle of that marathon, because you've already done more than that before. You've prepared for the marathon. And so in life, none of us can prepare enough. But when you have a chance to center yourself, to get calm, to get quiet, to write down goals, to pray, to do things that are going to be positive to build yourself up. You start building up endurance for when trials, tribulations, pain, hurtful things come along. Then if you have scriptures, if you have positive affirmations, if you know who you are as an individual, those things help you when you have a problem, an issue, when something arises that causes disruption in your life. You're not weak. You have something to lean back on. And I started out this year talking about faith, because if you don't have that, I don't know how some people are getting through some of these rough times without having faith in God. I mean, it would make sense that, people are turning to drugs or alcohol or some other kind of vice because they don't have God in their life to pray to. They don't have scriptures. They don't have things that help to center themselves. But when you gain that connection, it should help you when you go through rough times. And like I said before, the rain is going to fall on the righteous and the unrighteous, the just and the unjust. So why not have a connection with God? It doesn't make sense to just go through life and then you're just trying to figure it out. Like, well, you have help there. You have a blueprint. You have things that can encourage you to keep going. Why not lean on those? It's like having tools in a toolbox. You don't use your tools every single day, not unless you're like a handy person, handy man, handy woman, handy person, and that's your job, or you're a construction worker or something like that. However, when you have a toolbox at home, or even some kind of kit that has a hammer, that has a wrench, or that has, pliers or something like that, has batteries, has a drill, those things you don't use every day, but you could need them. And if something happens, you just have it just in case. Just like a first aid kit. You have some band-aids, you have something, some kind of neosporin or something. You have some kind of bandages or something to apply to a wound or something like that. It's just in case, just like a fire extinguisher. These things are just in case things happen. And when you start filling your stuff up with things that you can use just in case, then when something horrible happens, you don't freak out in the same way. You're able to sustain yourself. You're able to make it make sense somehow. You're able to get through it. Today's Monday motivation is about enduring to the end. When those people hit that finish line, whether they're walking or running to on the marathon to the finish line, everybody that's a part of that marathon knows how many other miles it took for them to get there. But when they finish, it's such a sigh of relief because they endured. They persevered. They got through the rough parts and didn't let it kill them, and didn't falter, didn't waver, didn't give up. So my message to you all today is to endure to the end. Don't give up on yourself. Dig deep. Keep going. Don't give up. And you'll see what that can do for your life. You can see what you can become. But you have to give yourself a chance. You have to believe that you can do something, that you are here for a purpose. You are not here for somebody else's purpose. You're here to fulfill your purpose. God has a purpose for each one of us being born. And if you're trying to do somebody else's purpose, you're trying to fulfill somebody else's destiny, then you're out of your lane. You're out of pocket. You're not where you're supposed to be. You should look into what you need to be doing. What are you good at? What do you like to do? What has God imparted for you to be here for? What have you experienced? Because those very things that have brought the pain sometimes become your purpose. Because you were able to deal with them, and now you're navigating through it, and you might be able to help somebody else through that same thing because you've experienced it. And if you haven't experienced it, you wouldn't know how to help somebody else. And you might be now stronger because you went through those things to be able to support somebody else. God has a purpose and a plan for each of our lives, and all of us have different trials and tribulations and pains and things that we have to do. What I'm choosing to do is let my pain push me into my purpose so that I can continue to live in my purpose. So I hope this motivates you this week to say, look, all this stuff I went through was for a reason. And I'm going to push through this, and I'm going to live in my purpose because I'm here for a reason. Okay? All right now. So I pray that you have a blessed week. And this is Monique Lynelle with Monique Lynelle's Living with a Purpose blog. 10-4. Over and out.